Hi, I'm Scott Steinberg, and today we're going to take a closer look at the future of online and connected games. But for developers and publishers operating in an age of online, mobile, downloadable, web-based, and streaming internet-ready game experiences, many of which support real-time social and multiplayer elements, remember, it's not just about designing better gameplay or more powerful features. It's also about delivering the best possible connected technology and online performance. We've asked several gaming experts what it takes to give tomorrow's player the kind of seamless, high-quality gaming experiences that they demand going forward, specifically the kind guaranteed to connect with and engage any audience. Here's what they had to say about it.
It is essential for games to offer an online connected experience because it is profoundly what the players expect. If you don't offer it, players think the game's incomplete.
They are now used to the idea that on day one, you're going to be able to log into a game, connect, and play.
Players have a very low tolerance for technical issues in games right now, to be honest. I think part of this stems from the fact that online play is almost mandatory for most games now. Most games are not actually shipping with offline options or offline modes. They are all forced to be connected to servers at any given point in time, so even a direct single-player experience is still connected to some servers or transmitting information. That can introduce lag, and generally players just don't like it.
Players don't stick around, right? They get any amount of lag, they're out. They can't drop for a nanosecond, and it's because they really want to play with each other and have these social experiences online.
It's really interesting to track players' reactions to different quality of service issues. If you have, say, bad or long load times, you see that players are patient with it up until about the 10-second mark, and then players start dropping off after 10 seconds. Then when you get to 30 seconds, players start dropping off really fast. And then when you get to the minute, it becomes just an apocalypse of everybody leaving the game because the load times are too long.
Well, it really has to be latency-free. It has to be very interactive. You push a button, something has to happen.
Connectivity is not going to get slower, right? We're never going to see slower connectivity than we have today. It's always going to get better and faster. That's one thing you can rely on. I mean, the great thing that I love about the video game industry is we're always thinking about what's next in the future, and we design for what's next in the future. I mean, the games that are being designed right now aren't being designed today for the iPhone 5 or 6 or the Samsung Galaxy S3. You know, they're all being designed for the next set of hardware.
And the days when you couldn't do that because the servers were overloaded and everybody was piling into a limited amount of server availability in a given day, those days have to be put behind.
I don't think that it's acceptable in this day and age of game making to have anything almost less than perfect. Fans expect too much.
And you have no excuse these days. You should be able to make that work.
As much as the design, the art of designing games is super important, I think the thing that we're definitely seeing is that the technology required to support these things is massive.
My advice to publishers and developers in the mobile space is to really try to build on a solid base that you have. I mean, try to take what you've learned and hopefully as much as possible that's code and design and data that you can move forward and iterate and build upon for larger, more impressive gameplay. Because I think that's really the challenge now, is starting from scratch and saying, I'm going to build this unbelievable experience. It's a lot because the server work and the infrastructure and the depth of the metagame and the monetization that you want to deliver, that in itself can dwarf the gameplay that you're going to need to build or the content that you're going to need to create.
The importance of keeping your game up for players in the realm of what we call game as a service is absolutely everything. And you can think of it as a utility again. If your electricity goes out, why is my electricity out? I'm calling the power company right away. If maybe the greatest example is if your cellular service goes down. We're completely lost as human beings at this point.
Right, you really have to support these audiences. You have to continue to provide them new experiences, different types of gameplay, new modes, new maps, new content on a constant basis. Keeping that community fed and giving them something really enjoyable to do. And I think that's one of the biggest changes versus the old school stuff, right?
the operation and the keeping your servers up, keeping the players interacting with your game is hugely important. I think I've looked at certain companies I've been at, and we actually try to evaluate the cost of the downtime and how much you lose just from bugs or the servers get too crowded, and that actually ends up being more hurtful than not getting to launch new content 1 week or delaying a feature.
Well, download times, lags, all of those things are basically making your product non-viable today, particularly if it's live online. So the tolerance of the audience for poor quality is getting lower and lower. Let's just look at mobile alone. As of E3, we were registering 500 new games per day releasing on mobile. 500 games per day.
I believe that people will expect to be able to be in connection with the game all the time. Right? We are connected with our emails, with our social networks, everywhere we go. That shouldn't be different for games, otherwise the expectation from the players won't match the world they live in.
The download times matter. I think instant gratification is a very snappy, immediate experience, and it means that when you're in the moment and you feel like playing something, you can get right to it.
People who grew up in the last 10 years and they are technically very savvy, they are generation digital, that's not on for them. They expect the multiplayer experience to be as seamless as any other experience they have around them today, which is I press a button, I get it, and I get it flawlessly, and I get it fast.
Well, it can be pretty punishing. The audience expectations are very high, and in today's world, when you've got lots and lots of different choices for the kinds of games you can play, right? I mean, there's so many games out there, and a lot of really good ones. There's just people don't have the time. Right? And they aren't that interested in sticking around if their initial experience isn't enjoyable. And especially with the rise of things like free-to-play, where the barrier to entry is not, hey, I've spent my $60 and so I kind of got to get some kind of value out of it, but it's really, I'm just going to pick it up and try it out and see how it works, and see if I enjoy it. Then, boy, oh boy, it's really got to be exactly right. It's got to be something that people love. I think that's one of the cool things about the games that I'm getting to work on now, right? When you look at something like World of Tanks and you get 100 million people in and playing and checking it out and enjoying it, it allows us to then build out and become something bigger, right? Take it onto not just PC, but onto console, onto mobile, right? Meeting people with different experiences who are used to different styles of games, and finding something that they can play and enjoy about the fundamental game, but that's catered to each of those different experiences, each of those different platforms.
As you can clearly see, for developers and publishers, it's not just about developing an incredible in-game experience, it's also about delivering killer online performance and doing it on a worldwide scale. Connecting with tomorrow's player is all about creating next-generation gaming experiences and delivering even the most complex gaming experiences so smoothly that everything happening under the hood appears seamless. And there you have it, everything you need to know to power up your online gaming strategy. I'm Scott Steinberg, signing off.